Okay, so let's just go A and X and delete everything from our scene and jump into top view by clicking 7. So now we can go Shift A and bring in a plane. We're going to scale this plane on the Y 3 times. So go S, Y, and 3. And now we can jump into edit mode and then just extrude this one a little bit up like that. So now we can go back into object mode, go into the modifier properties and go add modifier, go into generate, and we're going to use a subdivision surface modifier. So there we go. So now we can increase these levels here a bit. And the next step here is that we are going to create a version of this one. So we're just going to duplicate this one here, move it to the side, and then just scale it a little bit on the Y like that. And then we're going to do that again, duplicate it, and then just scale it on the Y. So this doesn't need to be exact at all, but yeah, something like this is good. So now what we can do is just box select these 3 objects and then go M, and we're going to create a new collection, and we're just going to type in whatever we want. So I'm going to type in some random letters like that and just go create. So now if you just move these ones a little bit to the side, we can bring in a camera, and then we can snap this camera into view by going Control Alt and 0. So Control Alt and 0 like that. And the next step here is to bring in a particle emitter. So we're going to use a plane here. We can scale it up a bit and then just move it down to somewhere around here. And we need to rotate it a bit as well. And scale it up a bit like that. So we have a setup that looks something like this. So now what we can do is just select this plane here, and then we're going to go into particle properties and click on this plus icon. And let's also bring up the timeline, and we are going to play around with some frames. So we're going to set this to 1000 frames like that. And the next part here is that we want these particles to work in a perfect loop. And to do that, we need to duplicate this particle system. So we want this particle system to start over here and end in the middle, and then overlap with a second particle system that starts here and ends somewhere around here. But just follow along and do exactly what I'm doing, and you'll be perfectly fine. So let's just set the number of particles to 500. And then we can set the frame start to -500. And then we can set the end to 500. And just to make it easy, we can set the lifetime to 500. So now we have these particles here that go in this direction, and that is not what we want. We want the particles to elevate from this plane. So let's go all the way down and go into field weights, and then just set the gravity all the way down to 0. So now, of course, these particles are hicking up a bit, and just a little trick here. If you have some particles hicking up, what you can do is just make sure this blue line here is not on the first frame, and then change the number. So set the number to just go one way back and reset the timeline like that. So let's also just rotate this plane around, so we have the particles coming into the camera viewer. So now what you can do is open up the render tab, and then change this from render as from halo into collection. And then we can open up this box and just select a collection like that. And now if I play this, you can see that we have these objects here. And keep in mind that you can do this with any kind of object. So that's pretty cool stuff. And the next step here is also that we want to rotate these objects. So let's go into the rotation here. And yeah. Okay, we definitely don't want that. Okay, so if you don't have managed to create this exact rotation, what you can do is rotate these objects and remember to apply the scale and rotation, and these objects here will follow along. But now I have sort of the style that I want. So let's create this in a perfect loop, and I'm also going to show you how you can control the speed of it. And of course, create color and emission and light and all of that. So what we can do now to duplicate this particle system here is that we need to create a second one that starts in the middle. So let's go into this drop down symbol and just click duplicate particle system, and remember to select it, and really important, click this little icon here so we have two different particle systems. So now what we can do is set the frame start to 500, and the little trick that most people don't know about is that to make this work in a perfect loop, we need to duplicate the frame start, multiply the frame start number of the second particle system with 3. And 5 times 3 is 15, so let's just go for 1500 here, like that. So if you play around with different numbers here, just remember to go to the second particle system and then multiply this number with 3. So if you have this on 1000, you want to set the ender to 3000. So now we can keep this. No, we can keep this at 500 like that. So let's just check this if this works in a perfect loop now. So I'm just going to go all the way to the end and hit spacebar, and you can see that this works perfectly in a perfect loop. And from here we can just scale it up a bit, rotate it a little bit around, and just place it wherever we want. So I think somewhere around here. And now we can see that this particle system is hicking up a bit. And this is actually good, so I can show you how to fix this. So go into the number and then just pick a new number. And if you do something in the first or the second particle system, you have to do it in the other one as well if this is going to work in a perfect loop. And then to reset it, we need to jump back into the first frame like that. So now what we can do is create some light. So let's go and give this material. So just go down to material here and click on new. And we're just going to do this the easy way. So I'm in Spain right now and working on my old computer. So that's probably the reason this take a ridiculously long time. There we go. And let's go to this surface and change this to emission and change the color to whatever color we want. And we can set the strength here to 10. So now what we also can do here is change the mode from solid mode into render mode. And as I said earlier, since I'm working on my old computer, this didn't take any time, so that was good. So let's just continue on here. So next part here, what we can do is just select these two objects and hold down shift and select the third one like that, and then go control and L. So control and L, And now we can just link this material. But as you can see, we don't have any emission light onto these particles. So we need to go into the compositor to activate this emission. So let's open up the compositor and then just click use nodes. And then we are going to go Shift A and bring in a glare node. And then just drop it in like that. And we are going to change this from streaks to bloom. And we can also set this from medium to high. And to see this in real time, we need to click on this drop down window here and set this to always like that. So now this is pretty bright, but if we go into the shader editor and go into world and click on color here and then just bring the environment down like that. So now we have something like this. And if we want to change the strength of the emission here, we can just do that, maybe bring it down to 5. And what we can do now to make this even cooler is just click on one of these objects here and then go new material. And now we can give a pink color as well, or purple color. And let's do the same thing with this one. And I want this one to be a dark blue color, like that. So now we have this pretty cool looking retro style animation going on. And as you can see, these particles are disappearing here at the end. So if you don't want that, we can just move this particle system a little bit closer, like that. Or we may have to increase the speed of these particles. So I'm going to show you, and this is really nice to know, just to have some control over the speed here. So let's go into the particle properties. And now we can go into physics and then open up this integration tab. And if we play around with the time step number here, and we can control the speed of these objects. So if we put this to a higher amount, the objects will move faster. So let's make them a little bit faster by going 0.08 like that. And since we are doing something now at the first particle system, to be able to make this in a perfect loop, we also need to change the second one. So let's click on the second one and then go down to integration and set the time step number to 0.08 like that. So now we have this pretty cool looking animation here. And I also just want to show you a couple of extra stuff here. So if you go into compositor, what you can do is play around with emission here. Just hold down shift like that. You can play around with this threshold and size. And you can also change this from bloom to ghost and create this interesting looking effect. So now, of course, I need to reset the particle system again. Hopefully one day Blender will fix this issue here. That's probably not going to be tomorrow. So now we suddenly have this kind of interesting looking thing going on. So just play around with this, but I'm just going to keep this at the bloom here. And you can also go into render properties and go down to color management and set this to high contrast if you want to. Play around with exposure and gamma and also play around with different styles. But I found that this emission thing works really good with this AJAX. So I think that's all. If you can like and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And have a great day and peace out.